Hey class, this is lesson 4.2. The objective here is to identify and represent patterns that describe linear functions. Let's get a definition here so you understand what a function means. A function is a relationship that pairs each input value with exactly one output value. Cross out relationships below that does not show a function. In this one, each input is paired with one output. 3 goes with 4, 5 goes with -5 goes with 4, 1 goes with 2. In this one, 1 goes with 1, and 1 goes with -1. In this one, 4 goes with 2, and 4 goes with -2. That one, there are 2 outputs for each input, so we're going to cross that one out because that does not represent a function. The last one, -1 goes with 1, -2 goes with 2, 1 goes with 1, 2 goes with 2. You can use a diagram like this to identify a function. If you see 2 numbers from the input going with, if you see 2 arrows from one value in the input like this going to 2 things in the output, like say 2 and 5, then it's not a function. But if you just see 1 arrow from each input going to an output, then it is a function. All right, some important terms to look at, and then use your vocabulary. You can just check your answer. Pause if you want to try them first, and then check your answers. All right, so representing a geometric relationship, I noticed in my packet that this figure wasn't drawn, so you might have to go ahead and do that. So we're going to look at this figure, and we see that it's increasing. And if you look closely there, you can see that figure 2, it increases by those. And then from figure 2 to figure 3, those are added on. So it seems like we're adding 4 onto the ends each time. We can use that idea to help represent this. I'm going to start by representing it with a table. All right, so we're going to let X represent the figure number. And we're going to let Y represent the number of squares. And we have figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and we'll just try and guess at figure 4. And figure 1 has 5 squares, figure 2 has 9 squares, figure 3 has 13, figure 4 has 17. Notice we go up by 4 each time. And we can use that to help write an equation to represent the situation. So we can see that the number of squares, since you're adding 4 each time, we can just say that we need to multiply the figure number by 4, because every time we increase the figure by 1, the number of squares increases by 4, so we can just multiply by 4. And our figure number is X, so we're going to say Y, the number of squares, is equal to 4 times X. But if you think about that, if we do 4 times 4, we get 16. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. You'll notice that the number of squares is always 1 more than that. So if we add 1 to 4 times the figure number, we get an equation that can represent this situation. So now that we have an equation, and say we wanted to guess maybe how many squares would the 10th figure have, we could just do 4 times 10 plus 1, which is 41. 41 squares in the 10th figure. All right, we also want to represent this with a graph. Graphs, one thing graphs do is help us tell if it's a linear relationship or not. So I'm going to get a graph up here. All right, so here's our graph. Figure 1 has 5. Figure 2 has 9. Figure 3 has 13. Figure 4 has 17, and if we wanted to keep going, we can see that it goes up by 4, so the next figure would have 21, 1, 2, and notice that these all line up really nice. They start at 1 and go there. I don't think the situation should be represented with a line, the line connected. I just wanted to show that all the dots line up, so I can undo that. And that's what the graph should look like. This is a discrete situation, so we really don't want to connect the lines there. All right. So you can go ahead and do problem 1. Pause here if you want, and I'll put the answers up for you as quickly as I can. So again, the points line up, so this represents a linear function. All right, representing a linear function. So the table shows the amount of water and Y in the tank after X minutes of being drained. Is the relationship a function? Describe the relationship using words and an equation. So we're going to say, is it a function? Yes. Because there is only one output per input. All right, and we want to represent this with words. With words, we're going to say something like the car wash started with 440 gallons of water. And if you'll notice here that it is decreasing by 12 gallons per minute. So the car wash has 440 gallons of water and it's using 12 gallons per minute. Now we're going to represent that with an equation. And we can see from the chart that we're subtracting 12 or decreasing by 12 for every minute, which means at 3 minutes we could multiply negative 12 times 3 and add that to where we started, which is 440. So the equation negative 12 times the number of minutes plus 440 seems to make sense here, where X is the number of minutes and Y is the number of gallons left. And yes, this does describe a linear function, and the reason why is because there's a constant decrease of 12 gallons per minute. And then if we were to graph that, that would create a straight line. All right. You can pause now, try these problems if you want. Check back for the answers. I did connect those because 8 more than 2 times the input could be any real number starting at 8. All right, lesson check. I'll see you tomorrow.